First, there was the most terrifying night in cinema history. Then there was the dawn. Next came the day. Now it is time for... Oh, wait, I forgot a couple. Next came the scariest land ever seen. After that was a diary of pure dread. Then the question became, would there be anyone who would survive? Now, finally, the most horrific mid-afternoon between 2:30 and 3:45. That's right, Zombies Part 1 on this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer Podcast. 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 That's time for the show. Yay.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. I am your puppet master, Insane Mike. Now, what is Attack of the Killer Podcast? Well, it is a horror movie podcast where a group of friends pick a topic, discuss movies within that topic, and so on and so on and so on. We speak freely in this group. There are no secrets. So, Jason, show me on the doll where the man touched you. There are times where there may be spoilers, but hey, shit happens. Get over it. Attack of the Killer Podcast is also a proud member of the Phantom Podcast Network. And if you have never heard of the Phantom Podcast Network, well, let me tell you about it. The Phantom Podcast Network is an amazing website full of incredible horror-themed shows such as This Might Sound Crazy, Nightmare Junkhead, Horror Junkies, Horrorcast, Dead, Dying, and Other Things, Classic Horror Club, and A to Z Horror. You can check these shows out at downrightcreepy.com/phantom. Now, before we move on, it is time for a public service announcement brought to you by Attack of the Killer Podcast. Do you have a gambling problem? Are your fingernails constantly stained silver from scratch-off tickets? Did you lose your life savings betting on your son's second grade kickball game at school? If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, forget Gamblers Anonymous. We have a much better way for you to waste your money. Send them to our Patreon campaign and have them donate. Donate to our Patreon is a sure thing. Now, with all new perks for donating, such as shoutouts on the show, a playlist of all the original Attack of the Killer podcast music, video updates from the podcast crew, a commentary episode of your choosing, a transcript of Brian's amazingly hilarious Insane Picks intros, bonus episodes, and you could even get a t-shirt. Just go to patreon.com/AOTKP. That's patreon.com/AOTKP. We've worked really hard to give you these perks as a way of saying thank you for donating. You'll really enjoy them, I bet. Oh, sorry about that. And now, it is time to introduce you all to our undead podcast crew. And right now, I just want to apologize. And you'll find out why. This zombie's favorite part of the human is to eat the hand because they are finger-looking good. Tad good, everybody!
Good one.
He ate a clown, but he didn't like it because he thought it tasted funny. Jason Bollinger.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
Next up, she was late for dinner, and all she got was the cold shoulder. Terry Turford.
Hello.
She's never late.
And lastly, this zombie just dumped his girlfriend. Then he wiped his ass. John Stalter.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Hi!
Perfect.
That was my favorite.
That's all I got, hi.
Now, unfortunately, Brian Clark couldn't be here tonight because he had to go to court. There's a man suing him, claiming that he ate him from the waist down. Don't worry, though. I don't think the case. I think the case will be thrown out because the guy doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Oh.
I totally remembered why I stopped doing the show.
He loves
What
groans.
was the apology for?
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
He loves groans just as much as laughter, so.
Yeah, he gets a lot of groans.
All right.
Break his legs. Alright.
So before we get into the topic, it is time for some killer news.
Now it's time for Killer News. Ripped straight from the headlines on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
I was just going to bring up that, since it's relevant to our topic of the night, that there is going to be a new Day of the Dead movie called Day of the Dead Bloodline, which is it's
That's bad.
supposed to be a quote-unquote reimagining of the original Day of the Dead. Where it kind of sounds like the plot is there's a girl who used to go to med school, and all it says is she's tormented by a dark figure from her past. And the dark figure is like half human and half zombie?
This is already crap.
I look to you, Mike.
How does this have anything to do with Day of the Dead?
No shit.
It's a reimagining.
It's a- Oh,
Explain
it's a
to
crap
me.
fest.
Explain to me, half man, half zombie.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just what it says.
I
Watch
was
the
looking at
movie.
Mike. I was looking at Mike.
He's zombie from the waist down because he has a stiffy.
Oh,
Oh.
I regret asking.
I mean, and they showed and Jonathan Shaish.
Sheesh.
I don't know how you say sheesh. From he was in Prom Night, Joy, and Laid to Rest. That guy with dark hair. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That guy.
Oh, that guy.
Shish.
But they show pictures of him before and after the infection, and I don't know. All I know is that this article on Bloody Disgusting referred to him as like the new modern take on Bub, and I wanted to punch them.
Oh God.
So,
And that's
but,
how it's
you
Day
know,
of the Dead.
you gotta give it a shot. You don't
No.
know if it's
No, you don't.
Aw.
I mean, not every remake. I mean,
always
I'm not
try to
against
give
every
it a
remake, but like that sounds like a big pile of shit.
No,
well, you never know.
we were
Half the
talking.
time, Bloody Disgusting is really awful at describing things.
That's just
So-
because they're just really awful.
I'll wait for
Yeah.
a trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least the trailer.
And then
I
we'll all
guess.
vomit together.
Well, it says that it's dated for theaters and video on demand starting January 5th. So,
So what they're saying is it's going to be in 2 theaters and be on video on demand.
Yep.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we were talking before the show started about the first time they did a Day of the Dead remake, the one with Ving Rhames. And I'm just remembering now one of the things that really pissed me off about it, because this is sounding like the same thing. You know, you could say reimagining, and I think I'm learning that the translation of the word reimagining is just cashing in on another title, because it sounds like
Exactly.
just like the first reimagining of Day of the Dead has nothing to fucking do with Day of the Dead. You know, because what the first remake was about the beginning of the zombie outbreak. What Day of the Dead is about the end of the zombie outbreak, when there's like hardly any humans left. And they're totally missing the fucking point.
You're
You could just slap any zombie title name to that and then call it a reimagining of that movie at this point.
We're never going to get Diary of the Dead remake, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, you never know.
I hope not.
I don't know why we talk like this.
Okay.
As we can.
All right, a couple things I want to bring up in killer news. Umbrella Entertainment is releasing Orca the Killer Whale to Blu-ray December 6th.
Awesome.
Yeah!
How the fuck did I not hear about that? Yes. Does it have a
Awesome.
commentary with us going?
No,
That'd
but
be
you can
awesome.
listen to our comments.
Because that's all I care about. But no, I'm excited about this.
Are you familiar with this Umbrella Entertainment?
Yeah, they're Australian.
Yeah, it's Australia, yeah.
I only really have heard about their stuff within like the last 6 months. I mean, I think they're fairly new in general, or at least
Yeah, that's my
to
impression.
US mark. I mean, I know we still have it's an import, but yeah, I mean they're also putting out Silver Bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're making a name for themselves, so I'm intrigued to check out their stuff. I'm willing to spend the money and import it if it's good, especially if they're going to release stuff that nobody else wants to touch here in the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exciting. And the other one I'm really excited for is Dario Argento's Opera is coming to
Yeah.
Blu-ray January 23rd.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks to Doppelganger releasing and Scorpion releasing. I'm not familiar with either of those labels either.
Scorpion, I think, is sort of involved with Kino Lorber.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, I mean it's a name that I've heard.
All right.
So does that mean it will be like a like $60 steelbook release?
God.
No, this isn't Synapse.
Okay.
Fucking love Synapse, but really that much for a fucking Suspiria, you fucking dicks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I still haven't got popcorn yet because
yeah.
Well, they have the regular Blu-ray
Yeah,
release now.
they do.
Popcorn. 2 weeks. They announced it like 2 weeks after I fucking bought the fucking steelbook. Dicks.
They did that with the Demons movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Bastard.
hey, how exciting is that? Opera coming to Blu-ray. 5.1 soundtrack, remastered, restored, high definition. It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait.
It's a
Pumped.
great movie. I still have my VHS that's titled Night at the Opera.
Oh wow. Was that a U.S. release?
Yeah, I bought it used at a place here in town. That it was just an antique store that would had a section that had VHS in it sometimes. And I found a few good things in there, and I found that there. So
That's cool. Well, one, I never realized it ever got a U.S. VHS release for one, and then also calling it Night of the Opera.
yeah,
Because my VHS experiences with the opera was shitty ass bootlegs, so off of Japanese laser discs.
sexy.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have for killer news. Did anybody have anything they wanted to add?
Tad might have a quick little news bit.
Yeah, I just have a quick review. Thursday night, the wife and I went to Chicago to see John Carpenter live again, which was really cool. He's on his, this is the anthology tour. The last one was the retrospective tour, so he's pretty much just renamed the tour and put it back out there. But I think he's playing bigger venues this time around because he played at the Aragon Ballroom this time, and last year he played at Thalia Hall, which was about half the size. And the show was pretty much the same because, I mean, I don't know what else he can really do besides bring his band up, play the movie clips behind him as he's playing the themes. But what I did like was that he switched up the playlist and he added quite a few songs this time. This year he added Vampires, the theme for Vampires, the theme for Body Bags, which was cool, the theme for Village of the Damned, and he did a cover of the Starman theme, which is really awesome to see too. And last year when we went, I wasn't sure what it would be like. I just knew if John Carpenter's on tour, I had to see him. And it's actually really awesome because he plays with a full band, his son, his godson. He has, let's see, there's, I think, a six-piece band on stage, and the songs just sound really cool with a full band. Drummer, 2 guitar players, a bass player. It's really something awesome to see John Carpenter at 69 on a road tour,
Up there rocking it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he has like 2 or 3 moves that he does on stage, and he still is using the same ones I saw him use last year, which is he'll. One of them is he points at his own eyes and then looks for somebody in the front row and points at their eyes like he's watching them.
Classic.
Yeah, it's funny the first time, but after like the sixth time, it's like, this is getting sort of weird. But and then his other one is like he balls his hands into little fists and he does this like sort of Elaine like little dance from Seinfeld. I don't know, it's sort of weird. He does a little kicks sort of, and it's funny. He did add one new move this tour. He will put his hand out and he'll slowly pull the gum out of his mouth and put it in a wrapper, and then pull another piece out and put it in his mouth. He did that like 4 times during the show because I think that's how he quit smoking. And I don't think there's any way to gracefully pull gum out of your mouth and put a new piece in. So he made it
look sexy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because everything the guy does gets a reaction out of the crowd. So like when he's pulling gum out of his mouth, everyone's like, "Yeah, pull that gum out."
He can do whatever he wants on stage. Look at me, I'm tying my shoes. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, everybody in that room would sit around and just watch John Carpenter tie his shoes. So it's like whatever.
I want to play video games with him.
Yeah, I saw they're doing like little behind the scenes clips from every stop they have on this tour, and I hope to God they're recording this for like a live Blu-ray and we get some behind the scenes stuff because
awesome.
That'd be cool.
they were showing if you go back on his Facebook page and watch some of the videos, there's one of him playing like I think he's playing either a SNES Classic or an NES Classic. And I think he's playing Mario, and of course he's killing it because like he's probably better at video games than movies these days. But there's also some funny videos of him. Like there's a video of him playing with the door at an old theater that's creaking, and he's just slowly opening and closing the door to annoy everyone. And I just love seeing John Carpenter just be a human. It's sort of interesting. But the show was awesome. I think he cut a few of the lost themes tracks in favor of movie themes, which I think is a good thing when you're there to see the movie themes. You know what you're there for. And I love those lost themes tracks, but they sort of, when he's playing live, they sort of kill the vibe just because he doesn't have any like videos going on with those.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool to just. We live in a weird time now. It's where it's cool to be like a music composer, and I saw Hans Zimmer and John Carpenter in the same year. That's so weird.
Wait, you saw Hans Zimmer?
Yeah, I saw him in Chicago over the summer, and it was awesome too.
Oh man, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, his show is quite a bit bigger than Carpenter's.
Yeah.
And why?
But he's just, oh man, he's just, damn. I'm jealous. Jealous of both.
Well, he just put out a live Blu-ray of that tour also. So I mean, you didn't see it live, but you can get the live Blu-ray, and it's.
I'll actually look into that.
It looks awesome. So. But other than that, yeah, it was the other cool thing about the show is the merch, because there is just like an overabundance. He has an individual T-shirt for like every movie he's directed.
Oh man!
Two tour T-shirts. He had tote bags. He had a poster from at least 5 or 6 of his movies. Vinyl records from almost all of his movies.
God damn it!
Man.
I bought a pair of They Live sunglasses. They're just sort of standard sunglasses, but they say like obey and consume on the side.
All right, I gotta go to the bathroom.
They
I
had
gotta fence this off.
They had hoodies. I mean, I had a hard time walking away without breaking the bank, but just
Take PayPal credit. I want every single thing you got here.
yeah, it was exactly. It was. I mean, just the merch alone was awesome, and whoever's doing his like design work is doing a really awesome job. I got a shirt that had just has anthology tour on it in the classic like Halloween font, but there's a circle around it, and it has a little hand drawn icon from each of his films. So for example, Assault on Precinct 13 is like a little ice cream cone with crosshairs on it.
Nice.
For Halloween,
This could have been the entire episode. Like, we could just listen to you talk about the merch. We don't even have to hear about the actual show, the merch.
This episode of Attack a Killer Podcast is John Carpenter merchandise.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, I got up to the thing and I'm like, oh man, what do I want? What do I want? There's like 100 people behind me. I'm like, just give me like 4 shirts. It's cool.
But good call on the glasses, though. I mean,
That's cool.
where else are you going to get something like that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was
Amazing.
up there, and I was like, it was a last minute decision because, I saw those. I'm like, got to get those. So,
You made the right choice on that. Those are really unique.
yeah.
That's awesome.
You guys know where he lives, so we can go jump him and take his stuff? Because
Well, luckily for you guys, if it's like last year, he took all the stuff that was left over and he puts it online for a pretty decent price. So,
Cool.
well, I guess
okay.
I'm gonna be broke.
yeah.
It's just money. I didn't need it anyway.
So yeah, that was an awesome show, and I think he's got a few more dates. Not that any of them are nearby us, but if anybody's listening in another part of the country, go see him. We don't know how much longer John Carpenter will be with us, so
Yeah.
And you just killed him.
no. I've been saying that for like 10 years now. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, he looked like a skeleton in the mid '80s. So
Yeah, honestly,
I think we
I'm
have him for a
surprised
while.
that he's 69.
yeah, when
yeah, it's like my parents are older.
But I'm like, really? That's it?
You meant
Yeah.
169.
89.
when
Yeah.
he was playing Body Bags, and it's like I think I mentioned in the Made for TV episode, it's sort of eerie how he resembles that like the made up version of himself. He's
Yeah.
like he surpassed the creepy crypt creeper version of himself now.
God bless him, though, man.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
where our lives would be without him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it
Okay.
just makes me more jealous. I mean, I had a
Yeah.
couple friends from Chicago that went, and I hate y'all. Well, my buddy Ernesto actually met him at the show. So,
Ooh.
fuck Ernesto if he's listening. He's not.
So, we do have one more bit of killer news. It's somebody's birthday today here on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Yay.
It's Tad's birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
I
Sounds-
I sort of forgot it was my birthday when I agreed to record it, and I'm like, oh, my birthday's, oh, well, cool, let's do it. So you can tell how big of a deal it is that it's my birthday to me when I forgot about it.
How old are you now?
32.
32.
Fucking youngins.
Kids. Just a bunch of kids.
Well, see, I get on here, and it just makes me feel younger, so.
There you go.
You're welcome.
All right, Dad, get us back on track.
Yeah, come on, Grandpa.
Okay. All right, so let's get to the topic at hand. This episode, the topic is zombie films. Now, zombie films have become such a huge subgenre in horror, but we're keeping our conversation down to a select few titles. Now, I love zombie movies. Some of my all-time favorite films are zombie flicks. But I also realize that some of the worst movies that are made are also zombie movies. A lot of people feel that the genre as a whole is way overdone. And even though I am a huge fan of The Living Dead, I have always been overly cautious of the topic. So that's why after all these years, we're just now getting around to doing a zombie episode. But even as a filmmaker, I'll tell you right now, I've got like hundreds of ideas for zombie films, but I have always tried to avoid telling zombie stories over and over and over again, with Collapse being the only zombie movie I ever made. And even when I tell people about Collapse, I tell them it's a zombie movie, but not really. So my first
And they go,
question...
what's Collapse? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Love you.
Or Footsteps the movie if you watch it on Amazon Prime.
What? Seriously?
The audio is so off on the Amazon Prime. I tried watching it the other day and I couldn't even get through it just because the sound of footsteps is
I thought
louder.
that was the good one.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's the good one.
Sound of footsteps is louder than the dialogue in the movie.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to bring this episode down for Jason and myself. So my first question to the team is why do you think there are so many zombie films?
Easy to make.
Easy to make?
I mean, there's a lot of great ones. There's a lot of bad ones, but really, when it comes down to it, it's a quick movie to make. I mean, when it comes down to it,
Okay.
a little bit of special effects, and people
Yeah.
die. I mean,
It
it's
seems
like
like-
slashers, quick and easy.
Yeah, it seems like the most accessible sort of monster, maybe. Like, yeah, you can make zombies on the super cheap, like some
Yeah.
dark eye makeup and a little fake
Yeah.
blood, and you're fine. Like,
Yeah, she's right though. I mean, Terry is extremely right. Like, you don't need to have the full-on makeup that a lot of them have. The good ones have. Just, yeah, a little bit of shit here, a little bit of shit there. Well, was it Nightmare City? Put some oatmeal on them. Zombie.
Yeah. Burn some oatmeal, put it on their face. You got zombies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's one of the easiest things to do.
Don't even bother putting makeup on the neck or the hands or any other exposed flesh.
That could work.
Just the face.
also, not to say that people who portray zombies in film are bad actors, but it takes, I mean, there are some that are featured that, it does take some chops to all the physicality and all that, but as in general, you can have like 100 zombie extras that, they don't have to be the greatest actors in the world by any
Just
means.
Some background people, just kind of shambling. You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that's, people who might not act normally are like, yeah, I can be a fucking zombie. Like,
Well, yeah, you can be like, all right, I'm making this low budget horror movie. I need some extras that are zombies. You people are interested? You're not gonna get paid. Oh yeah, that'll be cool. It's easy to do.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said for all of that. Like, I think you can try to make your movie look bigger on a grander scale because if you have a movie that's with zombies, then you can get like all these extras again, like you said, who doesn't necessarily need to know how to act, and so you can get that done on a super cheap, but make your movie look bigger than it actually is by having 100 non-paid extras. And my rule of thumb is always, if it doesn't look good, just dump some fake blood on it. So there you go. Now you got your zombies. So
And with the success of The Walking Dead, it's become the most popular thing ever. And
That's what I was going to say is just the popularity of it right now is at an all-time high again, and
yep.
it's an easy way to cash in on a popular trend.
Yeah.
and I was going to say that too, but I think that their zombie films were still really prominent before that. Like in
But
the
they
genre,
they definitely go through ups and downs.
sure.
They kind of.
I mean, in all, you have spurts of vampire films and that too,
Yeah.
but
But
I don't know, it seems like there's a lot of fucking zombie movies.
yeah,
out there.
zombie
And
films never really truly go away.
And that's the thing, like, I understand, like, the trend of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead's been on for 8 years now, so that's a long-ass trend. We're still getting constant zombie movies after zombie movies.
Boring ass trend.
Well, that and it's just a instantaneous, understood bad guy.
Yeah, you don't
Like,
need to
you
really
don't
develop
have to
that.
Develop a
You don't have to have any explanation why they're there. They're zombies. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's a good point,
That's all,
too,
that's all
because
you need.
how many times have we seen a zombie movie that it feels like the zombie plot is just a background for the real story they want to tell? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Interesting. I just thought it might be fun to start off talking about that a little bit. Cool. Okay, so who wants to start us off? Tad, since it's your birthday, you can go first. What movie should we talk about first?
It's going to be that all night. Yep.
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's just do the Dead Next Door and get that one going.
Get it out of the way.
No, I mean, I guess now that I've had a little more time to think about it, I knew it was saying that it was awful would rile everyone up. So
Yeah.
the basic premise of it is there's a group of dudes out killing zombies, and they're sort of met with a resistance of this religious group that is that believes that the zombie apocalypse is a result of people, I don't know, sinning, I guess. It's essentially a home video with zombies in it, but the effects are actually pretty. I don't know.
Entertaining.
Yeah, entertaining.
For the ultra low budget.
Yeah, it almost makes up for that acting.
Yeah, it's a film.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I bought it years ago through I think a Best Buy or whatever. But yeah, I mean it's special.
yeah, I thought the plot line was interesting, but what I spent most of my time watching it, I was just trying to catch all the names and figure out what horror person they were named after, because nearly every single character was named after someone in horror.
I hate that, and Mike loves that. I don't know.
I know, it was distracting, but
It is distracting when your
There's a
characters
I'm
lot
okay
are...
with it.
We do that.
especially
I'm okay when they do it less obvious. Like,
Yeah.
Romero, Savini, it's like, do we need the biggest names,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know the main guy's name was Raimi.
Yeah, say Raimi one more fucking time.
That's not a name. That's not a real person's first name. Maybe it's his last name, I guess it could be, but
It's not a real person's last name.
I mean, I appreciated all of the Evil
Sam, Ted.
Dead illusions,
You're
like all
Greg.
Well, Sam helped produce it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Sam helped produce it. And
Crazy.
I had to step away for a second, so we're obviously talking about Dead Next Door. I figured that out. But what was the consensus? We like
just
it?
talking about it.
Exists.
What was that, Terry?
Eh.
Kind of what I went with it.
It
I
was kind of
thought-
down the middle. Like, I didn't think it was awful, but
I thought you would love it for Bruce Campbell.
well, wait, was he in there?
He was only the star of the movie. So what had happened was,
What are you talking about?
so yeah, Sam was one of the producers on it, and I think it was Sam's decision that he didn't like the sound of the guy's voice. So Bruce Campbell redubbed all the lead actors' dialogue for the movie. So that's Bruce Campbell's voice throughout the whole movie.
Well, it's still special.
I was wondering why I had
See
an
that
erection the whole
now.
time.
What was that, Tad? What?
I was wondering why I had an erection the entire time.
Oh.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
That's interesting.
You haven't seen basketball? Anyway.
No, I wasn't talking. I was talking about him dubbing.
No, yeah, well, either way. I never knew that.
Yep.
We said that the effects made up for a lot of the bad acting.
It made up for all of the bad acting.
And Scott Spiegel's in it too. He was the first of the zombie hunters or whatever they were called to die there at the beginning. He's the one that got his fingers bit by the severed head.
Yeah.
And you see the zombie swallowing the fingers, and they come out the bottom of the neck. It's
So
awesome.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it says Sam Raimi was an executive producer, but he was listed as the master cylinder. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Us movie guys have never heard that term.
So this movie, I'm a fan of this movie.
You're
I
gonna
like
have to defend it. Nobody else really.
I own it. That's all I got.
Do you have the Anchor Bay DVD?
Yeah.
I have that too, and I was so shocked that Anchor Bay put it out. I mean, it's like was it shot on video or shot on 16? I think it's shot
16.
on video originally.
Yeah.
I think it's 16.
Yeah.
Shot on bad.
From 1989, directed by J.R. Bookwalter, and who I'm a fan of because he's definitely He was one of the big, for me anyway, back in the day, during this era of DIY type of filmmaking. But he was like one of those guys that basically, I guess you could say, built his own empire just by shooting his own films on shitty ass VHS. And I was impressed with not just the quality of films versus other films that were shot on VHS, but the fact that he had built his label up. Tempe Video was his label. He built his label up enough to where he was acquisitioning films that were like legitimately films that were shot on 35 millimeter and distributing them, even though it wasn't a very good distribution deal. But yeah, I love this movie.
Well, I would say the fact that this exists and has come out on DVD, they did some kind of magic. I mean,
And Blu-ray. It's on Blu-ray.
is it really?
Well, he put out some sort of special release, and then somebody else, like, kind of, I don't know how I want to say it, like, just picked it up and put it out, too.
Okay.
I wanted to say more bad things about it, but I couldn't.
Oh, you can.
Well, it just reminds me of back in the day when Mike and I were first living together in the early PF days, and we were just getting into all the Tempe shit, and I don't know, I just had a nice... It's such a crappy movie, though. I don't... But the gore, I mean, yeah, the kills and the gore is just that makes it fun to watch for me. I watched it last night, and that's what got me through it for sure.
I appreciate the creativity at the very least.
Yeah.
The it's not just like buckets of gore, and it's like he was talking about the scene where he eats his fingers and you see them come out of his stomach. I mean, clearly someone was trying, and I can appreciate that.
Totally. Do you have a favorite kill moment?
Oh, I'd say probably that one was... I know it's not really a kill moment, but I just thought that scene was cool. The beheading where he's like continuing to spray blood is awesome.
Yeah.
The down and dirty effects in the zombies sort of are... They're very visceral, and they're in the light, and I think that's sort of cool. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm trying to... Yeah,
Trying to forget?
No, sorta. No, sorta. No, I was gonna say the opening scene, decapitation, too. Those hands just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. Someone's hands.
Somebody,
Clearly not.
yeah. I always have a hard time with slowed down audio. Like, my brain and ears can't understand it. And it happens a lot on podcasts, intros and stuff, and scary things. People slow down talking audio. And so, Zombie Guy at the end, I just had a really hard time with him when he was talking. I remember that. Yeah, Dead Next Door, Terry.
Yeah. It was something.
What was your favorite kill?
God, I don't even remember. I think I was half asleep during it.
Terry.
When the credits rolled, and they killed the movie.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yes. The thing that I remember is when the cop, I think it was early on, like he's reaching for his shotgun, I guess it's kind of a kill. Anyway, there's like a random zombie head and it bites off his fingers. It's the goofiest looking zombie head. No,
Like-
no, I don't remember
like,
that.
Like paper mache or something.
No. It wasn't that bad. It was just goofy. I
Yeah.
don't know. Good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're out of
Yeah, I'm like, too
ways
bad.
to compliment this movie.
Yeah, I'm surprised we got that far, to be honest. Well, I guess Mike doesn't get a chance to talk about it. He had to step away, so it's too bad. But
He can come back from the dead later, and we can just, we can like just leave a moment of silence, and then you can edit in his comments on it. But he will talk for a good while about it if we let him. So
yes, he would talk a long time. Oh crap, he's back. Say what you want, quick. We're moving on.
About Dead Next Door?
Yeah.
I've got nothing.
Oh, dang.
next,
That was anticlimactic.
It really was. We were building you up. We were going to insert a pause and everything for your rant.
It was just a movie that was just at the right time for me. I recognize, that the acting's bad, and the obnoxious use of horror movie references with naming your actors after horror movie icons is overly cheesy.
You love it.
But I do. I love it. And the guy was extremely young when he made it, so I find it quite an amazing accomplishment for what it is. So
You see the heart in it.
yeah, definitely a
makes
lot
it
of heart
easy.
in it. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, so we can move on. So Terry, what about you? What movie should we talk about next?
How about The Battery?
All right.
Okay, well, I actually revisited it for this show. I'd seen it before. I really like it. I mean, it's kind of an isolation type film, even though they're out and about. It's just it follows these two guys that are baseball players. And they're traveling around during the zombie outbreak, which outbreak is a loose term because you rarely see large groups of zombies. Like, it's a pretty rural area. But they're just kind of traveling around because they don't know what else to do, and they don't want to get trapped anywhere or all that noise. So it's just kind of following them around.
Cool.
What'd you think about it, Mike?
So this is definitely one that we're waiting to talk about with everybody. Tad, you got to see it too, right? You've seen it?
yep.
Okay. Because I have mixed feelings on it, and this is some people think that there may be benefits of two people on the show living in the same house, where we can actually sit next to each other and see each other's reactions to things when we're recording the show and whatnot. The thing that's not the benefit of living in the same house is the urge of me to want to talk about the movie before recording the show.
Can't not talk about it.
So and so Jason, I feel like is wanting to drop some something on me about this movie.
I just know, like, I came home the other day, and you're like, oh, man. I was like, hey, you watching these movies? Because I hadn't got to all of them yet. And he's like, yeah, I seen a lot of them, and there's this one, though. Oh, man.
I wasn't that negative on it.
You
No.
were pretty, like, this movie sucks.
I did not.
Okay, I just made that up. But
All right.
you said you had a really hard time with this movie. And which
Not a really
which didn't
hard
make
time.
me like it more. but I'm glad I like it more.
I didn't say a really hard time.
Yeah.
My issues with the movie. Okay, so here's the difference between this movie and The Dead Next Door. Like, right? To me, the movies are similar.
One's watchable and one's not.
Right.
Now, hold on.
Exactly.
The Dead Next Door and The Battery, both movies obviously have no money. And the difference is the Battery does what they can without overdoing it, where The Dead Next Door tries to do everything and does overdo it, even though they have no money. But both, to me, it shows dramatically that they don't have the money to make what they're making. And the thing with The Battery is like there's some great moments that succeed in this, but like you could definitely tell it's a movie that doesn't have a budget to make a post-apocalyptic zombie film, because all the action takes place off screen.
But they did make a post-apocalyptic zombie movie. Why do they all have to be not this?
I'm not saying
Like,
that
why do they all have to be World
I'm not
War
saying
Z?
it can't be this. I just feel like this comes off a little bit too obvious that it's this.
I felt like it was a choice. It wasn't we got $5, so let's make it work. I felt like it was a choice.
It is a choice. It totally is a choice. Because they only have $5 to make the movie.
I don't feel like they didn't have the zombies because of budget reasons, because as we already discussed, you don't need shit for budget to have zombies. But like, I just feel like they did it as a choice to make it more revolved just around the human element, as opposed to the action and gore.
So it was like Clerks, the zombie version.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
Right.
Sure.
Zerks. I got nothing.
Because that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just without the clever dialogue to still keep you interested. And
You see, I feel like I was on the opposite end of Mike's idea, because I felt like they knew their limitations with their budget and they used the resources correctly, where maybe The Dead Next Door, I was reading that they, Sam Raimi used the money he made from Evil Dead 2 to fund this. So they had some kind of money, and it looked like they had no money. It looked like they had it looked like they were in debt. I mean, that movie...
They still, to this day, owe money for that movie.
Yeah, I mean, they were stretching their resources too far, and I feel like, maybe they... I don't know, again, saying that showing the zombies in The Dead Next Door, that was probably the most entertaining part of the movie, as in made it watchable, where I didn't feel like I needed to even see the zombies in The Battery. I mean, it did feel like it was a short film that was dragged on into a feature a little bit. It could have been it could have been trimmed in half, because I feel like some of it was a little pretentious, where some of the scenes they were maybe trying too hard to make them not necessarily artsy, but a little too hard to make them something they weren't. But I felt like at least the two actors did a very good job for what they were trying to do. And I think was it the bearded one of the two?
Bearded, I wrote, directed it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thank you. And I don't know. I appreciate the slow burn of it, and like you said, the human element. I felt like it was intentional, so I enjoyed this one a little bit more.
I totally agree with you, Tad. That's a big part of my takeaway of this movie. Is it really feels like there was just a lot of moments that were too long and unnecessarily too long.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to brush your teeth for a long time, longer than...
We stay on that, the brushing their teeth in the driveway for fucking ever.
And there are moments that I felt that way too. Like, I felt that it was long, but then...
I loved it.
Yeah, I liked it because it seemed more real, I guess.
Yep.
Like the one scene that comes to mind in particular is toward the end of the film when
He leaves.
The non-beard guy, Mickey.
Well,
Sorry.
that's the one. That's the one part of the movie where it was obviously the most effective because I was getting pissed off.
Right, yeah, when he goes out for the keys, and it is just such a long scene.
Forever.
No cuts.
But I loved it.
And I'm not saying that as a bad
Loved it.
thing, because it obviously worked because it affected me because it pissed me off. I'm like, I literally was home by myself watching this, and I yelled at the TV, just get back in the fucking car already, because it just stays on Beardo for like 20, 30 minutes of him wondering, just sitting there
5.
waiting. And we're sitting there waiting. So it was really effective because we're really put into that moment as if we're in the back seat right next to Beardo through that whole process. And so it was uncomfortable for me and tense, and so it worked. It worked well.
And I know they use the music as sort of its own character, where he keeps telling him, "Stop listening to your music so loud; it's going to end up killing both of us." And even the scene where they sort of have a fight because he takes his music and he's listening to it, but I felt like, and maybe it's just because I watched so many independent shorts for the festival, but it's like a stereotype where you use, you find certain songs and insert them into a movie and you don't need to play the whole song, but I feel like in this movie they did that a few too many times, relied on the music to put you in sort of a space, and it worked sometimes, and then other scenes it did not work for me at all. So
I noticed that they, in the opening credits, credited the music we were about to hear, like listed a lot of the bands and stuff, which isn't normal. And then watching the movie, you could tell that they made it a bigger part of the movie, which I liked. But yeah, I know what you said. There are some songs where like, okay, you liked this one lyric, and that's why this song's here. But yeah,
I feel, and I, not to drag onto that, but it's The Walking Dead sort of does a similar thing where they play these sort of hard, folksy, almost bluegrass type folksy songs to sort of put you in that rough and tumble mood, like they're out in the wilderness and they're fighting for the elements, and we're listening to this sort of music, and I don't know, I've seen it a million times, and maybe that's why I sort of it doesn't affect me as much as it used to. But
another thing with this movie, one of the things I'm such a fan of with zombie movies, especially the post-apocalyptic zombie film, where there's not a lot of humans. It's like we've lived through the zombie outbreak, and now we're just the lone survivors dealing with it. I like the isolation element of that. Not that it's really a zombie movie, but Last Man on Earth I love that movie so much because that whole first half of the movie is just watching Vincent Price just in total isolation, doing his day-to-day routine, and that whole thing was a huge influence when I wrote Collapse. But like there was something with this movie that made me hate all that, and I don't understand I don't understand what it was, really. I don't. Maybe it's the fact that they just like
I know you
walked
hate
around
sports,
in the woods and just scavenged, from place to place, instead of like rooting home and creating a life for themselves. Maybe that has something to do with it. That's the only thing I could put my finger on.
Yeah,
but like,
it was kind of a moving isolation. It was more of an isolation just between the people. Like, they were isolated in their relationship with each other, and they didn't have interactions with anyone else, was more of the isolation part of it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they explain why they move around. I mean, they talked about how they almost got killed in that house or whatever when they tried to
plant roots, yeah. And it makes sense, you know. And I'm not saying there
Plays
isn't a
into the
place.
story with
There isn't a place for that type of living environment in a film like this, but just something about it with these guys. Just, and then maybe it was because of the one guy. Like, I could not stand the one guy, the guy with the headphones. He just
He
annoyed
wasn't-
me. His character annoyed
Yeah.
me through the whole movie.
He was a little annoying. But
And
hey, he dies, so it's fine.
And the only reason I was rooting for him to not die is because I didn't want the other guy to be left alone.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
but they kind of make you go back and forth on that because, I mean, yeah, the Mickey guy is kind of, I don't want to call him
Soft.
a wuss. Yes, thank you. That's a much better term.
Soft.
In comparison to this bearded guy who's just, you know, he's out and in it, you know, he's confronting all of it, you know, like the moments when that scene where he catches a zombie and then unleashes it into his bedroom and forces him to kill it, like,
Dick move.
super dick. Like, he could have killed him. Like, he could have
Yeah.
actually killed him. But, I mean, you know, he was trying to help him, but I don't know. They kind of go back and forth because, yeah, Mickey can get annoying, and then I think was it Ben? I think his name was Ben. Was just kind of an ass at times, and they talk about how they weren't really friends even before any of this happened. They just happened to be together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting relationship between them.
I sort of want to see this version, but with Mike and Jason.
I'm sorry
Who would
you
be
had to
who?
go get the keys, Jason.
Oh, I thought I was beard guy. I love that they were ball players. I thought that was neat because that's
I thought it was.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was interesting, yeah.
and it wasn't just a thing. They played catch, and there were, you know, metaphors. But I thought that was a neat thing.
And maybe that's the other thing, though, too. We're talking about the relationship between the two guys and how they weren't even really friends. And maybe it all has to do with that. And that's because when there's such a dysfunctional relationship between the only two actors we're following through the whole movie, maybe that's what my problem is. I don't know. Like, I just
Well,
feel
yeah.
like I have nothing to root for.
and I had to look this up because I mean I used to play softball, but I didn't know. I was trying to figure out because God, Terry, speak. They talk about how they're the battery in the movie, and I'm like, wait, what? And so I looked it up, and I figured out that it's a baseball term, which I didn't get. It's just the battery is the catcher and pitcher together.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that either.
So that's where the title comes from. It's baseball related. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, I thought
what
that there
the
was
heck?
other meaning behind it too, with the batteries that ran as Walkman. So
Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with it, though. That's what I thought the first time I watched it, and then this time I think it's the bearded guy says, you know, he like looks at Mickey and he's like, yeah, we're the battery. I'm like, oh, what does this mean? So yeah, baseball.
Well, thankfully we have the big jock on the podcast in Terry, so
But I mean, in baseball, it wasn't like a major theme in it. Like it was just sort of an underlying tone to some things, which it was just a nice change of pace because that's not something you usually have. I guess it was just something different.
I fucking love this movie. It's like I loved everything about it. I loved how slow it was. I loved how it was shot. I loved how there was just minutes and minutes of just no talking and them walking around and it I kept thinking like this is the kind of movie I would want to make. Like this, everything about it is exactly what I would want to do if I got to direct a movie. I just loved it. I loved it. I think it's my favorite one on the list.
Whoa, really?
I know.
Yeah?
I really liked it.
Damn.
Even over Romero?
I think so. Yeah, because this last
What?
watch,
We're done here.
it went down a peg. I'll be honest.
What the F?
Really?
Yeah.
It was the opposite for me.
Oh no, that's cool.
Well, we're going to get into that. For sure.
Transition.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I just. Well,
The only other thing I wanted to say about, I mean, Jason's still talking. I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna bring up the masturbation scene.
So,
Oh, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's
loved it.
let's get it out in the open.
So awkward and weird.
Yeah, it's a
but
masturbation
it fits. Like,
It did.
and it added a little bit of levity because then Ben shows up and he's just laughing his ass off at, like, he kills the zombie, and then he sees what Mickey was doing, and it was pretty funny.
It's a great climax, though, right?
Ah.
It was so great. Loved it.
Jesus.
I
Hard
just want
times.
to know what took him so long. I mean,
Right.
seriously?
He probably kept thinking, "Oh, this is a dead person."
Nope. It was just.
You're not a guy.
Bless.
You don't
Yeah.
think about this.
I know.
No.
I'm sorry. There were just boobs. That's all that
Yeah.
was needed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Anyway, transition now. Why did I bring this up?
Speaking of jerking off, how about that Romero?
Yeah! What do you mean it lost a little something for you this viewing? So we're going to be talking about Day of the Dead, by the way, for those out there.
Day of the Dead,
Day of the Dead,
1985.
George Romero's one and only Day of the Dead.
The only Day of the Dead that
Masterpiece.
counts.
That's right.
No, it was good. I love this movie, and it'll always be the movie that turned me into a gorehound.
Yeah, definitely me too.
And
But,
it was still awesome for that.
and,
It was good. I just had, this time around, no, I think Tina watched it too. Anyway, I just had trouble.
it's too late at night when you watched it. That's what it
No,
was.
maybe. No, I thought that, well, the main thing was the racist shit. It's chocked full of racist shit.
Yeah. Welcome to the 80s.
No, and I know, and I give it its pass, sorta.
You mean just like the army dudes being
The
racist?
army dudes, yes. The
No, we all know-
language.
See, I don't have a problem with that because
It's in
that's
character.
right. Those characters are shitheads, and we want to hate. They want you to hate them and get them. You know, they're the bad guys. We're supposed
Yeah.
to.
That's,
I mean, it's unpleasant to hear it. Sure.
right.
but
And so I liked
I'm
it less
just
this
like,
time because of
well,
that.
Oh, it was just part
I'm
of the
sensitive.
character writing. Well, buck up.
No,
So that's literally it. Just the use of some
no, that
of
was the main.
language.
That was the main thing I didn't like. Well, and then just that I forgot his name. I ain't even gonna say it now because you're just gonna say that that's who he was supposed to be. But I hated his character too.
Rhodes.
No,
Oh,
Rhodes was fine. He's over the top as he was, but
over the
but
top.
the other henchman guy that was
Steele?
the bad that Steele just couldn't stand him.
Which one is he? Is he like the one that
baldy
laughs
or
too
one?
much, or
Yeah. Yes.
he's like he looks like Belushi, right? Sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought of him as Vic Morrow from Alice.
Oh.
Mel from Mills Diner.
Yeah, I can see that. He is super obnoxious throughout the movie, and his laughing makes me want to punch through his face every time.
Yep.
His laughing or the
Yep.
the third one down, his henchman, the black haired one with the beard.
Maybe it's him. Whoever just laughs throughout the whole
Oh.
entire movie and never
No.
stops.
This is bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he laughed. Like, the only time I liked his laughing was when he was dying.
That was
Yeah.
the best. Where it goes
That-
helium
yeah.
and
That is like, yeah.
that's creepy as fuck.
That's so awesome. Like, can that happen? Probably not. But like,
But
just,
man.
but it's so effective though, because even though it's not, it's cartoonish and not in reality, but like, we get what's happening. His voice is starting to go into a higher pitch because his vocal cords are getting ripped and stretched. How awesome is that? Because he's getting his head tore off. And he's getting his head tore off. Not only is he getting his head tore off, but he's getting his head tore off by pulling his head apart from his neck, by using his head as a bowling ball, by sticking fingers in his eye sockets. And he's
Yep.
alive while all this is going down. It's amazing. So, I first saw Day of the Dead on the USA Network back in the day. And all the goddamn gore was intact, like all of
Really?
that. Oh yeah, because I still distinctly, because that movie left such an impression on me for the gore, for the effects alone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the story. I love the characters and the direction and all that stuff. But it hit me like a ton of bricks, man, when I saw the gore in this movie. Like, I never thought gore could be like. That's when I saw special effects as an art form. That's when I
Me
really
too.
saw special effects as an art form, and how it amazed me, and I could not wrap my brain around how they pulled off even half of the effects in that movie.
Yeah.
You know, the autopsy zombie when it sits up, and I still remember watching on the USA Network, watching all these guts spill out all over the floor, and could not believe what I was watching on commercial television. It's amazing. You know, so, or the zombie with only with the nothing but his brain left laying there on the table. Like, how in the hell did they do that? So, yeah, that was the movie that like made me want to make movies, in particular do special effects. But yeah,
I remember that was the one that when I had like friends over to watch movies, I wouldn't even make them watch the whole movie. I'm like, you got to see these scenes. And there's the one, that scene where he tears the head off, and all the tearing scenes basically towards the end where everybody gets torn to shit. It's like, you have to see this. I mean, I still, not the strongest, and I still feel like Dawn is, the pinnacle of the zombie, of Romero's zombie films. But
I agree.
this one to me always took up, it took the gore up a notch, and to me when I was young and trying to get a reaction out of friends or people I'm having over for movies, I'm like, you got to just see these scenes, and like, why people either thought it was awesome or they're like, why do you enjoy this? You're crazy.
Yeah, I used to do that shit too. I would have like my collection of like super gory flicks queued up on VHS to certain moments, just so when people came over and but hey, check this out.
Yeah. It's like one of the tests, like if you're dating somebody and you bring them over and you're like, show them this, and if they come back, then, it might be worth pursuing.
Yep. Yeah, they just never came back for me. So.
Well, yeah, Jason came back, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I showed him the asshole shooting out of the butt in Man Behind the Sun, so.
Well, there you go. It was meant to be.
Haunts me to this day.
I know it does. Oh, so what else? What else can be said about Day of the Dead?
When I watched it, I felt like when I first watched it, I watched it obviously. I actually saw it after Dawn, and I thought, oh, this is, not as great of a story, and the characters aren't as likable, and it doesn't seem to have much of the political undertones of Dawn. But like I said, I love the gore, and I don't know, I really liked it. And then after sort of doing a little bit more reading on it and finding out that Romero didn't have the budget he wanted and he had much bigger scope on it and all this stuff, I tried not to let that sort of damper it, but I still feel like it really is either underrated by some people who think it's not good at all, and then overrated by some people who say it's the best in the series.
I would still love to get my hands on an original script to see what all he really wanted to do.
Yeah, me too.
If he had the budget, just to see, like, because I know we'll never see it. So, but no, and I get what you're saying too. Because out of all three, when I saw the original trilogy, I saw Night of the Living Dead first, then I saw Day of the Dead, and then I saw Dawn of the Dead. So I saw Dawn of the Dead last. Dawn of the Dead, I feel, is the best of the trilogy as well. That's the movie. So when I saw Night of the Living Dead, that opened my mind up to, because that's when I was really starting to become a horror fan. But up to that point, my horror experience was like Universal monster films and stuff like that. And that was the movie that really opened my head up of like the possibilities of things you can do with horror, and truly be horrific instead of, everybody is all happy and a happy ending at the end. And then Day of the Dead, taught me a love for special effects, but Dawn of the Dead taught me a love for cinema as a whole and the whole art of filmmaking. And with Day of the Dead, there's a whole feeling of dread through that whole movie. Anytime I watch it, like even during like lighter moments, which there are few and far between in Day of the Dead, there's just this overwhelming feel of dread when I watch that movie, just because they won, the zombies won. It's over. It is literally the end of humanity at this point, and all hope is lost, and we're having to like watch for an hour and a half these last survivors just trying to keep from killing each other at this point. So
yeah, there's few people I hate less than the military group in that movie. There's just not a single scene where I think that I don't want them dead right away. Not a single one of them. They all suck, and I hate each one of their characters.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, how can you hate the goofy Mr. Bean with a beard looking dude? I mean, they're just so mean to everybody and tossing the doctor around. It's like, what a bunch of assholes. It's like, and it's weird because it's like watching it now, it's almost relevant. I feel like, try not to make it political, but it almost feels like the right versus the left, still. And I don't know, it's every time I watch it, I hate them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. But I do feel like they're not a total loss of humanity with those guys, because I can kind of see their plight a little bit in the fact that, okay, so like when you're in the military and you have your group, that's like a family. It's in and of itself that watches each other's backs, and these guys have sacrificed everything for this medical research team that just keeps that hasn't gotten any further since day one. And their team, the military team, is dropping like flies. The beginning of the movie, we learn that they just lost their head command, and that's when Rhodes got put in charge. And I just think like that was kind of like the final straw for all those guys, and they've just kind of lost it. Because they are losing and have lost what's important to them, and all because of these scientists people who are the ones running the show per se, and Rhodes has just had enough of it, because they're the ones putting their lives at risk every day, while the scientist people are just keep saying, well, we don't know what's going on yet.
Dr. Frank is crazy.
And then when the shit comes out what Dr. Frankenstein's doing, what Logan's doing, and it's like I can kind of see where Rhodes is coming from at that point.
Still a madman.
Oh yeah, still an asshole.
Pretty
I mean,
good.
And I still get sad when Bub finds him and you feel for a zombie. You have the feels for a zombie. Poor Bub.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing about that movie, and which is definitely the direction Romero started taking with the whole zombie genre in general. Is like the most sympathetic character, most relatable, sympathetic character in the whole movie is a zombie.
Yep.
Yeah, it had been a while since I'd seen Day, and I guess it wasn't super fresh. But I obviously remembered Bub, and I always liked him. But man, I liked him so much more after this. I don't know. I guess it's just been so long since I'd seen it, and I'd forgotten how awesome he is. Like, I don't know. I just love all of the Bub stuff, and the idea that the zombie is, as close to human as a zombie can be, and
Yeah.
it's just interesting.
And it's just awesome. At no point during the the zombie feast crazy ass ending where all the military people are getting torn apart. At no point, even when Rhodes gets torn apart, does Bub have that hunger lust. He just shoots him, salutes, and walks away.
Yeah, so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking earlier about how you don't have to be a good actor to be a zombie, but that is not the case for
Nope.
Bub. Like, that took a lot to dive into that, for sure. Physically and just, just the choices he had to make. And
oh, that scene. Oh, it's so heartbreaking. That scene where, Bub, he's licking the gore off of the chains, like picking the little bits off, and then accidentally pulls the pin, which releases the chains. And you can just see, he's like a little child of like, oh man, I'm going to get in trouble, I broke the
Looks
chain.
around.
So he goes to find Frankenstein and show him that, hey, I broke the chain. You need to fix it, please. And then realizing that Frankenstein's dead, and just that when he just starts crying and wailing there, get a little teary eyed.
So
Isn't
sad.
it crazy? A movie where zombie entrails splatter across the floor in full glorious color, and you get. There's an actual scene where you get a little teary-eyed for a zombie. So awesome.
So good.
Very good. And a great cast. Laurie Cardell, the daughter of Chili Billy, who made an appearance in the original Night of the Living Dead. You've got John Amplis, who played Martin in George Romero's Martin.
Yeah.
And he was one of the scientists, the one with the goatee.
For a while.
What's that?
For a while.
Yeah. Joe Plato is Rhodes. It's got such a great, another reason why I love it, and I love Romero, it's just got a great ensemble of Romero people. Like, people who have worked on Romero's stuff. Because Joe Plato was in Knight Riders. The guy who played Frankenstein, he was in The Crazies. I don't think there's anybody in that movie who isn't connected to Romero in another way. And it's like one of the first films. I'm just blanked on his name. K&B.
Nicotero.
Oh, Nicotero, yeah.
Yeah, one of Nicotero's first films. And have you guys heard that story on how he came to work on Day of the Dead? He saw George. Him and his family was in Italy, I believe, and just happened to be at a bistro where George Romero was eating, and went over and just talked to him, and how they lived in the Pittsburgh area, and then George Romero just invited him to join on Day of the Dead. So it's awesome. Now look at him.
Look at him.
So yeah, Day of the Dead's awesome. What's next? Who hasn't gone?
Has Jason gone?
Y'all seen the girl with all the gifts?
Woo!
Yep.
Yep.
That's pretty weird, huh?
Weird.
Cool.
Very cool. I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
liked it. I thought it was fantastic.
Glenn Close in a zombie movie.
I know, so weird.
What the hell?
So weird. Now these are like the fast-moving zombies, and so basically it took a little while to get a full scope on exactly what's going on.
Right.
Because it all
What's
just
up with these kids?
Yeah, it starts off on this military base where all these children are kept locked in these like jail cell type rooms, and they have to be strapped down and their mouths covered every day as they're shipped off to a classroom. And all the military people are such dicks to these kids, and these kids are just so sweet and innocent and nice. They're like, good morning, Sergeant, whatever, and they're just like, don't talk to me or whatever. And you're like, what the fuck is up with these kids? And then you learn that they have the virus or whatever. But I'm still a little unclear on exactly. The children aren't dead, are they? They have the.
It's a fungus.
That's right. It's a fungus.
They are like, well, they call the zombies the Hungries. They're like hybrids of some sort. I don't think that they're more human. I don't know. They're both.
Well, I think this, like, the generation of the kids is like the first one that sort of, like she's saying, the hybrid, that they can function while still having this virus or disease.
I thought it was because they were fetuses and their moms got it.
Right.
And
they
moms
chew their
died.
way out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So they weren't bit. but
Yeah, so they're
It's just in their blood.
they're a hybrid of
So they're a
human
hybrid.
/ zombie. Yeah.
half human, half zombie.
There they are.
Oh shit, this new Day of the Dead's going to be awesome. Because these kids were awesome. So the
Yeah.
main kid was awesome.
Yeah, the girl.
Yeah, she was really good. But yeah, and Glenn Close is kind of a baddie / goodie. I don't know.
She is probably one of the more antagonistic characters of the
Yeah.
film. But
I mean, she's an
Heart's in
ass,
the right
but she's-
place.
But we know we understand what she's trying to do, but she just
Exactly.
doesn't go about the most diplomatic way of doing things either, though, or the most humane way of doing things. So, because she believes that this girl in particular is the answer to the cure.
Right.
And she sort of was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really appreciate when, appreciate something that's completely original and different, and like, maybe that's one of the reasons that the zombie genre is so popular, is that because it's really so broad. I mean, you take this, for example,
Blank canvas.
compared to something as simple as The Dead Next Door, is so very different, but they're considered the same genre. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is based on a book, too. You know, for people who read
Psh,
things.
Whatever that means.
I had a hard time. It was several months ago that I watched this, but the sergeant guy, is the same guy from like Hot Fuzz. He's one of
Is he
those
really?
guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
yeah, he's one of the cops from Hot Fuzz.
I really liked him in this movie.
He's good in dramatic roles, but
He started out an a-hole. and
Yeah,
then
he's got a good arc, I
Yeah.
think.
great arc.
Because, like, you really, sympathize with him at the end of his end there. and and he really cared about the girl at the end too. By the end too, so it was awesome. Just wasn't just a heartless military dickhead, but those scenes where the zombies are just like frozen still, and they're just walking amongst them.
Neat, right?
It was so neat. I love that whole device,
Lore, yeah.
that whole mythos of this zombie verse.
It's mostly
And
smell.
such a great tense thing too, with them just walking around trying not to make a sound.
And you're like, Glenn Close, don't look in that damn stroller. What are you doing,
Oh,
Yeah.
how messed up was that?
dummy?
A freaking rat chewing on a dead baby.
It's cool.
That's cool.
I will say I watched that scene, and that scene was very tense and well done. But I could not help but think of the scene in Shaun of the Dead where they're faking the zombies and walking through the hordes,
Yeah.
and they get to the Winchester, and they break character and start arguing, and suddenly the zombies catch on to what they're doing. It's like
Yeah, for sure.
I instantly thought of that scene, but it took it got me back zoned in because it was so tense, and then of course the dead baby, and yeah, it was an awesome scene. I think the scene where the military guy comes in and spits on his arm and puts it in front of the kid, we sort of get our first look at what they're capable of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get chomping.
That is really cool too. A cool way to sort of introduce how these kids are, why these kids are strapped down, how dangerous they can be.
Yep.
Jaws kind of pop, and they...
Oh, that
start-
chattering teeth shit. No.
Yeah.
Creepy.
I feel the worst for the teacher.
Yeah.
Like, she has the most tragic story. Like,
Yeah.
she just cares for this girl this whole time, this whole journey that they're on. And in the end, she is just basically a prisoner.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It's funny
No.
because one of my former coworkers, she retired. She's like probably in her late 60s. She texted me probably 2 weeks ago. She's like, "You got to watch this movie, The Girl with All the Gifts." And I was like, actually, I have, it's on the list for upcoming podcasts, and I would never expect her to watch this. And if she did, I would not expect her to enjoy it. And so I think it's sort of cool. Like, she's very, very, very intellectual. Her and her husband are both like super world travelers and very, very book smart, almost, nerdy. And when she recommended it, I was like, oh, that's interesting that she watched a zombie movie and really enjoyed it enough to reach out to me and tell me I need to watch it. So it's cool to see her like that. Anybody can sort of appreciate a film in the genre,
Absolutely.
It's sort of a smart. I don't know. I wouldn't want to see like this is for the smart people, and the Romero ones. The other ones are for dummies, but it's like it's an intellectual and different way of doing it. So it shows that you can still make a fresh and new film in this genre without rehashing everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it still it delivers on like gore and action too, to where I think it has an appeal on both sides, like the hardcore horror fan and those that are not. So that do want, I guess, a little bit more intelligence in their movies. Whatever.
Did we first see the first zombie when we went to Glenn Close's place and she was they came running down the hallway through the glass? Was that the first time?
I think so.
Because
Really?
I thought that was. It felt
That
at
was
one
a cool
point.
scene.
Yeah, it felt like this movie's taking forever, but then at the same time, they showed us zombies pretty fast. I don't know, and I thought it was cool because it was kind of the mindlessy kind, Train to Busan kind, a little bit, just like
They're fast.
fucking give it to me now. I'm gonna sacrifice my body if I have to.
It was a cool shot, though. That was probably one of my favorite moments in the movie when they're doing the lockdown because obviously the zombies have invaded the base, and they end up leaving the base because it's just completely overtaken. But it's going close, and her partner, the other doctor, and they're closing that window, putting the steel shutter down. It's an automatic, so it's closing on its own speed, and you could see off in the distance
Way
these
back.
fucking zombies just fast paced running towards this window. And part of me's like, that shade's gonna get all the way down, or it's gonna be one of those last second, like that hand's gonna come through and the steel shutter will chop it off, or they have to fight it back or whatever. But no, that zombie just breaks right through the fucking glass and just chomps on that other doctor.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh shit! But it was a very kind of Hitchcockian shot of just way off in the distance, and that woman's back is to the window, not even giving a shit, without a care in the world about it,
Yeah.
and just watching those zombies come running up to that window.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm really happy this one made it to the list. I'm glad, because I probably wouldn't have watched it on my own without watching it for the podcast. And so for me, out of the ones I have not seen before that are on this list, this was my favorite one by far.
Pretty
So.
good.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so watch it.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
Do
now.
it, Doug.
So that leaves like one other on the list, right?
One or two.
Well, do you want to get into the one that you ended up watching?
Well, yeah, Dead Set. Y'all see that? Did y'all watch that?
No,
No.
I saw it like months ago, and I put it on the list for I had forgotten that it was an actual like BBC TV series. The whole thing plays like a movie, and it's only 5 or 6 episodes long, something like that.
Yep, 5 episodes.
So
20 minutes.
It's
episode.
easy to forget that it wasn't a feature film; that it was just a.
And it's just one after another picks up where it left off, so it's
Yeah.
just broken up.
So I took it off the list,
I missed that part.
and Jason missed that part.
There
I
it is.
saw on Twitter one day, yeah, I'm currently watching Dead Set, and I'm like, oh shit.
well, maybe Jason could do like his own review for our supporters,
Oh yeah, maybe.
Oh, there you go.
so he didn't completely waste his time.
Well, I didn't waste my time because it was pretty cool.
It was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
worth watching.
Now, I had a different expectation when I first heard about it. Like, I read about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to check this out, see it's on Netflix. And I thought it was going to be, my understanding originally, and it kind of sort of started off that way, if I remember right, that it was kind of going to be kind of like what Ghostwatch was, where it was
Right.
going to be set up like, this is a real thing that's happening, mockumentary type thing. But no, it's a completely just linear story, yeah.
Yeah, the cool thing about it, it's like, it's imagine if there's a Big Brother show about these reality show people set in a house doing their Big Brother show, and they don't have any contact to the outside world, and this house is a lockdown kind of place. Like, information can't get out, information can't get in because of the nature of the show. And then zombie outbreak happens on the outside. And so it's them trying to figure out what happens when the camera stops following them around. And there's crazy shit goes on outside too, so.
And because they get put in lockdown, and they still think it's all part of the show.
Yeah, so
It takes forever before they realize, oh, this shit's really
it's
happening.
pretty neat what happens. It's worth a watch. Dead Set.
Dead Set. Oh, the one guy. What was he? The producer of the show. Oh my god, talk about
That's
a
the
dick
dick
character.
of dicks there.
Yeah.
Oh my god. He
Yeah.
couldn't.
He makes Harry Cooper and Rhodes from Day of the Dead look like fucking Mr. Rogers. He's the dick of all dicks of zombie lore.
Yeah, that's the one I watched. Extra. That's alright.
Dead Set. And it was on Netflix?
Yep.
Yeah. So the last one on our list was Soul Station. And I put it on the list because, like, well, one, I thought it'd be neat, like, watch an anime type of film, zombie film. And then it was, like, it kept getting advertised as a prequel to Train to Busan, which
We
I
love.
Yeah,
Love.
love that movie. So what were your thoughts on that one, on Soul Station?
Awesome.
Totes awesome.
Yeah, I liked it.
Me too.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm not used to watching, I guess, very much horror anime.
Yeah, so it was
Or-
cool to see
Yeah.
gory
was
shit
interesting.
on a cartoon.
Yeah.
Or am I not allowed to say cartoon? I'm sorry. I'm not an anime watcher.
It's
anime,
Jason.
I don't know what that is.
And this was
anime.
Shudder exclusive too, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it is a Shudder exclusive. Now, I kind of feel like some of the animation at moments doesn't really hold up to other Japanese anime. You know, sometimes when people
Is
are
that
like,
redundant?
walking,
Japanese anime? Or is there different? Is it all Japanese? I'm just learning here. I don't anime. Moving on? Okay.
like scenes when like people are walking or running didn't feel quite natural, but that's just nitpicking.
It didn't in Dead Next Door either, so let's just...
Hey!
I don't think that
Come on.
counts.
Though, yeah, the animated acting was much better.
It was
Yes, it
better,
was.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna argue one part there. Every time that woman started over excessively crying at the top of her lungs, I just wanted to punch her. Oh my god, that was excessive.
Well, you can't punch a fake cartoon character, and I said cartoon. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna animate my fist
Oh.
There you go.
so I
Into
can
her
punch
Throw
her in the
face.
yourself
face.
into it so you can punch her.
It wasn't that bad. That's what
Really?
Japanese girls do. I mean, they...
Oh,
No, I just...
Oh, you
in
better
the...
be careful.
In the cartoons that I do watch, what did I
You
say?
just watch. What are you watching?
And so Soul Station, right? It's
I'm just trying to figure out what kind of anime you're watching where the girls are just crying.
Sailor Moon. Leave it alone.
Sometimes, yeah, the voiceover acting can be a little exaggerated.
and that's
Is
to
what
be
he was trying to say.
Yes, thank you, Terry.
yeah, that's gonna be expected. But man, I don't know. And like, it felt like everything set her off, and she just started bawling like crazy. You know, the guy breaks up with her. She just starts bawling like crazy. You know, she's lost. She's bawling like crazy. Zombies are attacking. She's bawling like crazy. Her and the
Well,
other guy
I mean,
are.
I think that would be an upsetting situation. Just
Yeah,
yes.
guessing.
I don't know.
Insensitive
I'm just
bastard.
saying.
Everyone reacts differently. I mean, you could be like the Day of the Dead guy and just laugh at everything because you're a nervous laugher, you know.
It was just annoying. I'm sorry. It was annoying that those moments from that performance was annoying. It was really excessive. I've seen babies cry less.
Anyway, say something else about the movie besides the crying girl.
I really like.
like-
this. Go ahead.
I liked the general storyline, like the characters, like the twist.
Oh
of
fuck!
The,
Yeah, of the.
did you forget?
The
The
dad?
I kinda
dad
did for a
that's
second,
searching
yeah.
for her is really her pimp the whole time.
Oh my god! I couldn't believe that. Like, when she's like, "That's not my dad," I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I kind of
Oh my God.
wondered.
And
Well, 'cause
then the
I-
movie just went all about that for the ending.
Well, because you know what? Why it really hit me so hard. He was my favorite character.
Oh.
He was my favorite character up to that point. Well, because like already I was
Still
annoyed
wanna
by
kill
her,
Yeah.
and here it's just like the super tough ass father. And he on the surface it didn't look like, you know, because he looked about like middle age, right? So he didn't look like a badass. But you know the the asshole boyfriend that wanted to pimp out his daughter, he like practically beats the shit out of him, you know. And I'm like, yeah, way to go, dad, right? You know, super badass, ass kicking zombie fighter dad. You know, he's gonna save the day, and it turns out he's the fucking bad guy.
Well, and I wondered, like, they show that scene where the quote-unquote dad is told that there was a picture of her online somewhere and that she was selling herself. And that scene, I kind of almost thought that because I knew that they had talked about her being a prostitute previously. I don't know. I guess I'm good at guessing things, but I kind of thought that might be what it was. But I forgot about that, though, as I watched, and I thought, you know, for like the whole like middle hour, you like really think that it's the dad. Like, they're fairly convincing of that.
And it's the whole time of like, she has to stay on the move. You know, things happen to where, you know, she can't just stay and wait for them. But like, him and the boyfriend are trying to find her, and every time they get any kind of contact with her, they told her to hang tight. They'll be right there, but then she has to move on. So it's this cat and mouse game through the whole movie, to where you're the whole time you're just like, oh, just everybody meet up so you guys can all get through this.
And everybody who ends up helping her fucking gets killed. Seems like.
Yeah, I really like that reveal. I thought it was well done and totally caught me off guard.
When I watched it, I'll be honest, when they revealed that, I was like, was I supposed to know this the whole time, or did it really? I felt like I missed it, and I was an idiot. Like and then I felt like maybe we were in on it and she wasn't. And then now that you guys are saying that, I was rightfully very surprised. I feel much better.
Okay, good.
I was pretty
Glad
damn
we could put you
surprised
at
too.
ease.
Yeah.
I like the ending. Like, it's bleak, and I guess I just like endings when everyone dies, apparently. But
Oh yeah.
I don't know,
they
I
did,
liked
didn't they?
it.
Well, it's like at that moment the reveal has happened, and now I'm in the reverse mode of like, I'm rooting for this guy this whole movie. Now I want him to fucking die because he's an asshole, and like he gets this comeuppance in like the best / worst way possible.
Yeah, but before that, when the boyfriend's the first one to go, that was sad as fuck.
You got to that point where you start kind of caring about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right, because even though he was going to be a dick and pimp his girlfriend out online, he was just doing it so they could live.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and he spent
As
the whole
awful
movie
as it
trying to
was.
help her, so...
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, so his whole arc and
around.
everything works, and it makes sense, you know, and it's a good arc because it gives us that transition of like, we don't like this guy, now we like this guy, and that's how I think that should work, especially in a horrific situation as you know, trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. You need to be able to root for these characters, so to be able to transition from like a character you don't like to a character you like is good storytelling. And who would have thought, right? Like, such a character-driven film that's animation and a zombie apocalypse movie. So,
Yep.
I think one of my favorite moments is when... Oh, I don't even know what the girl's name was. The girl. She's with the one leftover homeless guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to get under that gate.
I was going to say the exact same thing.
yes.
And there's that
was
woman
awesome.
that's coming down the stretch, and they think that she's a zombie, but she ends up just being fucking insane. That was a great scene.
Oh, that was so intense.
Yeah.
She just keeps getting closer and closer, and they're just trying to get from underneath that gate.
I'm like, suck it in, dude. Come on. Nothing.
I was kind of like, leave his ass.
Yeah.
But he was great and helpful and kick ass. And...
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Until they
But
both
that
were balling
scene
in the
was
fucking...
that was a good one.
Yeah. I really liked the scene in the jail cell too, because like that was tense.
Yeah.
Because they're surrounded by zombies. There's one gun with one bullet, and the cop who's been bitten is the one who has the gun.
So you're
You
just
know?
waiting.
Like, how are they going to get out of
When
this?
can I grab this gun? When is he going to back up too close? What's going to... Ah!
And I also really like zombie movies that, I mean, well, I like all stages of zombie movies, apparently, because I think I've said this about
You
every
think it's
stage.
the outbreak, but then...
Yeah. Because I mentioned earlier, I love the post-apocalyptic shit where humanity's gone and it's a total isolation storyline. But I also really like zombie films that start off at the beginning of the outbreak, because I love to see that
Develop.
evolve, the outbreak evolve and grow, and you get to see that in this movie, which was really cool.
Yeah, and again, they still don't really tell you
Nope.
the origin. Like, you just see
First
the
of
older
all,
guy
Just starts with
who's
that
he's bitten and he's just kind of hanging out and waiting to die, and then shit happens.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect for me. I guess I like dominoes because
Yeah.
it starts with like one guy, and then we just watch it kind of just like evolve in the background of these people's stories as it goes on till it's like full on zombie chaos.
Yeah. There were a lot of like underlying tones of maybe a little bit of political stuff as far as like the homelessness,
Yeah,
because there was a lot of like lots of negative comments toward them. I don't know. Like, they defended themselves, but that was kind of a theme where everyone just thought that it was their fault because they were homeless, and it seemed to happen a lot.
yeah. So yeah,
And did we officially agree with the prequel status?
Sure.
I guess
It's a train station.
it just
It's a.
I mean, it's just at a train station. I don't really see
They're not the same.
how
They're
else
not.
it's tied in.
yeah, it doesn't really feel connected to me and all that. It kind of makes me want to go back and watch Train to Busan and see if there is a connection. I guess.
Yeah.
Any excuse to watch that again.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Did I buy that?
I don't
Okay.
know, Mike.
I
Did
think I
you?
bought that on Blu-ray. I think I got it on Blu-ray. I'm gonna have to go check.
Andy's back.
Oh man. So anything else anybody has to say about Soul Station?
It's cool. Get Shudder because you should have it already.
Yeah, anybody who listens to the show doesn't have Shudder yet.
Come on.
Like, get with the times. Anyway, so like we can do a quick round table of other zombie films. I'll start off because what I decided to do for the round table is to do my top 5 favorite zombie films that are not George Romero films. Otherwise, it would have been mostly George Romero films. So my top 5 in this exact order. Even
Whoa.
I even have it in the exact order. Well, Jason, I'll let you see if you can guess what number 1 would be. My number 1 all-time favorite zombie movie that's not a George Romero movie.
Shaun of the Dead.
No, I'm surprised you didn't get it right away. Actually, didn't even make the top 5. Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, I should have known.
Yeah.
Duh.
Return of the Living Dead is my all-time favorite non-Romero zombie movie. And then number 2 is Lucio Fulci's Beyond. Number 3 is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
You would.
Yeah, I love that movie so much. Yeah. Number 4, Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Maybe I should have said zombie movies that are not George Romero's or Lucio Fulci's. And number 5, Reanimator. So,
It's good.
yeah. Anybody else have any honorable mentions they want to bring up? Or
Sure.
okay.
I know we already did, like, way back in the day, we did zombie comedies, which is, like, one of my favorite horror genres. Like, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Kind of mixed feelings on that from a lot of people in the horror community for some reason. Like, I don't know why there's any hate for that movie, because it's amazing.
I didn't even realize there was hate for it.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
There
there
is?
definitely is.
Really?
Probably just from those guys that are just have no sense of humor that are like, I don't like comedy
Probably.
with my horror.
The Johns. No, I'm kidding. I really like Fido.
Fido is really good, and that's another, like, you talked about people not needing to be able to act to play zombies, but that's another example, like Bud.
Yeah.
That great performance as a zombie by, oh shoot, what's his name? Billy,
Billy something.
comedian, Boondock Saints.
Yep.
Billy, Jason, you know him. Comedian. Australian?
I'm just.
Connolly.
Connolly. God damn it.
I just love watching you try to think about it. So even when I know it, I don't say it because like I want to just hear what you're gonna try to say next.
You like the smell of my brain burning.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, that's a great one, and he is so awesome in it.
But yeah, I guess Pontypool, I mentioned,
Pontypool.
is so awesome. Dead and Breakfast. I'm just going to keep going. Last one, I'll say Dead Snow 2.
So is that a
Yes.
consensus? Everybody likes Dead Snow 2 over Dead Snow 1?
So much better.
Yeah,
I like it, yeah.
I think I agree. Dead Snow 1 is still awesome, but...
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah, I don't
but-
agree.
What?
Let's go. No, I hated it.
You did not like Dead Snow 1?
No.
Okay, that's just a new revelation I was unaware of.
Pissed me off.
Why does
hated
it piss you off?
I don't remember it that well now.
Okay.
I didn't like where it went.
Okay.
That's what I can remember.
But Dead Snow 2 is
Oh,
just
fuck,
like...
so fun.
Yeah,
So awesome.
it's just crazy
It was-
fun.
But I think Dead Snow 1 was serious enough that I was invested in...
So when there was comedy, it took you out of it?
No, that when it did things I didn't like, it was harder to forgive because I was in it. But like Death Snow 2 is like, oh, this is a ride, and like
Yeah.
no matter what happens, like I can't be mad at this. Is awesome.
I mean, it's got Martin Starr, so that's all you need. He's awesome in everything.
So good.
Tad, any ones you want to bring up?
I'll throw out a few. I will stand by Planet Terror. I still love that.
Yeah.
Rodriguez's half of the Grindhouse film. I think that it doesn't really break any new ground, but it's just so much fun. Another one on a whole different spectrum would be Bela Lugosi in White Zombie, which not necessarily falls into the living, or I guess it is sort of Living Dead, but it's to me it's such a cool. Oh man, just the sets, Lugosi's performance in that movie, everything about it is awesome. Those two are the ones, and also I love Return of the Living Dead 2. That's another one of my favorites. I know a lot of people really love the third one. I still feel like the part 2 is probably my favorite.
Oh, favorite out of that series. Interesting.
And
Okay.
and I don't think it's the best, but maybe it's nostalgia. But I remember watching it on TV when I was very young and coming across it, not realizing it was a sequel, and I hadn't even seen Return of the Living Dead. I just saw this fun, crazy zombie movie, and of course now I'm very familiar with the series, and I still love that one for some reason.
Well, I'm with you though. I really love part 2 a lot as well. I still love the first one as being one of my all-time favorite movies. But yeah, I remember when that came out on video for the first time, and I rented it I watched it constantly. You know, that's one of those that, like, when it came out on DVD, I had seen it so many times that I instantly recognized that they changed the music. Like, the music is different on the DVD release from the original VHS release for some reason. I'm assuming licensing rights, but for some reason Like the music is different.
Yeah, I also throw out Black Sheep because that one's a
Oh,
lot of fun.
yeah.
Yes. I was just thinking that. Such a good one.
So good.
That is a good one.
The one with
Yeah.
actual sheep, not
Right, not
The
the
comedy.
Chris Farley. But
Yeah.
both are great, but in for this episode,
right.
works out much better. But shout out to Chris Farley, rest in peace.
Awesome. Good picks. Good picks. So let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, it'll be segments time here on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Good evening. It's intermission time. Our service is friendly and quick. You'll find hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, your favorite candies, hot and cold beverages, and other delicious snacks. So add to your fun of watching the movie. Visit our refreshment stand right now. We're glad to have you with us tonight. We hope you'll come to see us often. It's great to get out to the movies.
Hey everybody, this is Wayne.
This is Zip.
Lori.
Brian.
Doug! And we're the Necronomicast, a weekly horror podcast brought to you by us, horror fans for you, horror fans. We talk about
Movies.
Books.
Celebrity interviews.
Your mom. I don't know what you want me to say.
Necronomicast.
we also talk about streaming movies, new movies, as well as news in horror.
And that's just a sample of what you'll get on the Necronomicast.
Did we say horror movies?
Visit us at necronomicast.com. Also visit us on Facebook.
And on iTunes and all that.
Necronomicast.
We'll scare the shit out of you. Yeah.
Visit us at necronomicast.com for more madness and horror and blood.
We're good. How are you?
All right, welcome back. It's time for segments on the show, and we'll start off as we always do to hear from you, the listeners, with our segment we call Shoutouts.
It's time for
All right, so we asked, what's your favorite zombie movie? A lot of great responses all over the interwebs. Up first, we got Jack Christensen says, Night of the Living Dead is the best, but I find Day of the Dead to be the most rewatchable.
Awesome.
What is the most rewatchable? Dawn's like 16 hours long, so it's probably
Day
not.
is 16 hours long.
No, Dawn of the Dead.
Or, I mean, yeah, no, I'm thinking backwards.
Oh.
Yeah, Dawn is is really long. So, I guess if you're basing it on running time, probably Day, but...
Yeah. Montego Eliodoro Pena says, me too. Rewatchability. I'm sorry I murdered that. Jimmy Dalton, he says, Shaun of the Dead or Dead Snow, The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Awesome.
bleh.
Bleh on Serpent of the Rainbow?
Yes.
You don't like that movie?
No.
Oh, I don't like spikes and penises, so I have a hard time with that movie.
You don't like snakes and penises?
Railroad spikes into penises. Dan Holmes says, Reanimator, Train to Busan. Nick Leadham chimes in on his, says, Reanimator is amazing. He's right. They're both right. Woo! Sean Frost says, Dawn of the Dead 78 and Return of the Living Dead. Honorable mention, To Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, and its many alternate titles.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Is that a good one?
Yeah. I want to say it's a Spanish film? No, I'm thinking of something else, maybe.
Good story. G.I. Dalton says, I don't like zombies. I'm sorry, sir.
That's too bad.
Thank you for your comment.
It's too bad that you hate fun.
You hate fun. Sora Wheeler says, Return of the Living Dead. Nick Leadham says, I'm inclined to think it's a Romero movie, but I've probably seen Dead Alive more times than any other zombie film.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about Dead Alive.
Right?
Good
Yeah.
choice.
Maybe that's in the top 5.
My honorable mention that you guys didn't mention was going to have, I think, Night of the Creeps and Night of the
I
Comet.
forgot to let you go on honorable mentions.
That's alright, I just did it right there. See? Dead Alive! How'd y'all forget Dead Alive?
God.
How's that not on your list?
It might bump out Reanimator for in my top 5 non-Romero zombie movies. But remember, you and I had a conversation not too long ago about one of the things that ruins the rewatchability for Dead Alive for me is I do not like the score of that movie.
The score isn't as good as it should be.
Yeah, I'm just never been
It's
a fan
tough,
of that
'cause
score. And so it's not even a big like background comfort food movie for me because like that score bugs me for some reason.
Lisa Mary says, I'm a sucker for cheese and Linnea Quigley, so I'm going to have to go with Return of the Living Dead.
Awesome.
Dustin Krutzinger says, Train to Busan. Voodoo Velvet says, 28 Days Later. Saw it in the theater first time for fast-moving zombies. It scared me so bad that night I could not go to sleep until I had a zombie escape plan idea in place. Oh, yeah, the first time you saw it, it's just like, whoa, wait.
And in a theater even.
Yeah.
I didn't see it till video, so that's awesome.
Yeah. Dave Keppel chimes in on Voodoo Velvet's comment, says, as great as that is, I think it was surpassed by its sequel 28 weeks later. Crazy, intense, and superbly crafted, it's also one of the best acted zombie-infected films ever. That has Robert Carlyle in it, right? Or the Carlyle guy in the 28 weeks?
Yes. Right? I think.
Yeah.
Haven't seen those two in a while, though.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I remember I watched 28 Days Later a couple of years ago, and then I just noticed how every shot was a Dutch angle. And I'm like, gosh dang, I can't believe how many shots are not level in this movie.
Really?
For real. It's a lot. It's insane.
Huh.
Yeah. Liz Marie Babbick says, probably Shaun of the Dead. Definitely not Jerusalem, which had potential, but shooting it through a chick's Google glasses made me want to barf. Jerusalem.
I think that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I avoid it because of the Z.
Yep.
I fucking hate movies that use a Z in place of an S. It just makes me instantly not want to ever watch them.
Yep. Aaron Gray says children shouldn't play with dead things.
Yes! Who was that?
Aaron Gray.
Aaron, you rule.
Followed by Return of the Living Dead.
Yes!
28 Days Later, then Fulci's Zombie.
You need to hang out.
Yeah, Aaron. All right, now we got our pal Jake Book. He says, he's got a lot here. Here we go.
Is there a Power Ranger zombie movie?
Just a second. While technically not a true zombie movie, as we think of it now, because the undead were referred to as vampires, he's partial to Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price.
It gets a pass for me.
I think
because,
so.
I mean, if it wasn't for like Last Man on Earth or I Am Legend, we probably wouldn't have the zombie genre as we know it today. So
he says, edit. I was reminded of one time when I was working a security job alone at this old historic site in Indiana. I decided to watch Dawn of the Dead. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, completely dark out, obviously. And as I continued to watch, I began to imagine zombies walking into view on my security cameras. By the end of the movie, I was completely freaked out and sat with my back to the wall, so I was sure nothing was behind me.
Nice. Oh, that sounds like a good time.
I love those stories.
Yeah,
of
me
people
too.
watching movies. Valerie Winter says World War Z. I liked it.
It was okay.
I feel like watching it again. Claire Barton says Dead Snow by Tommy Wirkola. Wirkola. Yep. Andy Davis says the zombie movie 2 made in the Maine Winterscape by this guy and Andy Davis, LOLs. 2, the number 2.
Don't know.
This guy made a zombie movie. We should check it out.
Oh, it's his?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, Andy Davis. Thanks for letting us know about it. Let's put a link on there or something.
Yeah, let us know how we can check it out.
Andrew Glazebrook says, Return of the Living Dead, skull emoji.
Woo.
Am I supposed to say that part? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm old.
Did they type skull emoji or did they type did they put a skull emoji?
There is a skull emoji.
Well, I think you handled it greatly.
Thank
Move
you.
on.
Thanks. Robert Hooker says, Land of the Dead. Dave Boyer.
Yeah, Land of the Dead. Some more Romero love.
Dave Boyer. I'll start over. Dave Boyer says, the remake of Dawn of the Dead was good. Zombies of Mass Destruction was also good. Return of the Living Dead 1 through 6. But I laughed my ass off at Zombieland.
Oh, yeah, we didn't bring up Zombieland. That's really good.
Zombieland's good. Zombies of Mass Destruction.
I've heard of that, and I've seen the poster, and
that's as far as you got.
To click on that.
Okay. JT Smith says, I've been a huge, and in parentheses says, I'm fat, zombie/Walking Dead corpse fan since the late 80s. That was the ultimate nightmare scenario to me. So, top 10, if that's allowed.
Here we go.
Are you ready? Oh, gosh, I don't know which way I'm supposed to read these. Too late. I'm just... Alright. Night of the Living Dead original, 90s remake / Return of the Living Dead. The Dead.
I have The Dead, and I still have not watched it. I need to.
All right, John Stalter. Come on.
Yeah, it's a John Stalter move, isn't it?
Dawn of the Dead, original remake. Reanimator 1 and 2. There's going to be more than 10 on here, I think, since he's combining these.
Yeah, he's kind of cheating a little.
He's pulling a mic. He's pulling a mic.
Yeah. I wish somebody was pulling a mic.
Okay, so he also says Train to Busan, Slither / Night of the Creeps, Dead Alive.
Just because they're
like
slugs?
They tied for that position.
For 20th
I think
on
he
the
just
list?
tried to combine them because they're slugs.
Yeah. Dead Alive, Flight of the Living Dead. That's on
that
somebody's.
actually was better than I thought it was.
Really?
I really liked it.
For real?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do it.
I mean, go in with an expectation of a movie called Flight of the Living Dead, you know, but
Okay.
It's better than the title, leads it to believe. So.
And then Fido.
Woo.
Yeah.
Guess what? He's got honorable mentions too.
Yeah, let's have it.
This JT Smith. He's pulling a
I love
page
you,
out of the
JT
old
Smith.
Insane Mike book.
That's right.
Honorable mentions is Zombie, the Evil Dead series and seasons.
So that's a question.
Yeah.
Possessed demon creature things. Do we consider those zombie movies? I don't.
Is it
Evil
I'm just gonna
Dead.
say it.
They're not
Dead's in
dead.
the title. Yeah, they're just all messed up.
Like they can, I mean,
Go back to
they
living.
can be. Yeah, exactly. They can become unpossessed.
Okay.
I guess. I mean,
We
that's.
got
I
overrule.
mean, I agree with you. I don't like putting Evil
A
Dead.
zombie is an
films.
undead person that can never live again.
But we talked about 28 Days Later earlier as being. Are you on the side of that? It's
I
not a
don't-
zombie film.
Yeah, no.
But they don't go back, do they? I don't believe so.
No. Haha.
No, if somebody came up with a cure, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a fan of like the
You wanna be
supernatural,
Oh.
demons
Evil
and
Dead, Deadites are demons.
yeah, they're demons. To me, demons is a completely different category than zombie.
Yeah.
I've seen lists that put Lamberto Bava's demons movies on the zombie list. I'm like, no, they turn into demons.
I mean, it's kind of a gray area, but
The
Might say
if you
concept
ask
is
me, I'd say they're not zombies.
The concept can be considered similar, but I think the biggest difference for me is like the transmission of said what turns you into that. When you get into like more supernatural demony type stuff, kind of all rules are out the window. Like if you go back and watch the Evil Dead movies, like Evil Dead 2 especially, 1 Minute Ashes one minute Ash is a deadite, next minute he's not a deadite. You know, there's no real rules to that because it's all supernatural mumbo jumbo, and you can make that shit up as you go along. But when it comes to like a zombie or a living dead, there's kind of set straight rules on how you to turn into that, and there's no deviating from that.
Right, and that's a good way to look at it, is that things in the evil, those are supernatural versus, more
natural,
realistically based, like virus, like bodily based. I don't know.
He's got more. Hold on. The Walking Dead series, Shaun of the Dead, Splinter.
Yeah.
28 days, weeks later, Dawn of the Mummy. And there's this Civil War period piece zombie flick that I can't remember the name offhand. Pretty decent and worth a rewatch. Maybe I'll remember it in an hour or two. We'll see. I'm scanning ahead. I don't think he did. Okay. Next up, we got Matthew Grimey. He's got a top 3. He's Return of the Living Dead, number 1.
Woo!
Number 2, Dawn of the Dead.
Woo!
Good pals. And number 3, World War Z. You weren't ready for that, were you?
Just with those other two,
No,
I guess
I
I was a little surprised.
Yeah. Thanks for shaking it up, Matt. Next, we got Lucas Turner says Dawn of the Dead, 1978. Kylie Nagel says 28 Days Later. So good. Carla Tim says Resident Evil.
First mention. The first love for that ever on this whole
show.
episode.
The show.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carla. Way to be strong.
Yep. Stanogram.
Montego Eliodora Pena is back, says night and then day.
Okay.
And then says again, there's a new zombie movie out by Cameron Romero and Hamid Torapour called Zombies. It stars, among other, Tony Todd. Check it out.
Don't know it.
Actually, I think that one might... I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys came to SNAF like 2 or 3 years ago, but there's a guy who's been there almost every year named Stephen Luke. And he did a movie with Tony Todd and Doug Jones called Dust of War. And I think Luke either produced it or helped produce it, or he's in it, something. But anyways, he's involved in that somehow. And when he was pushing it, I thought, there's a new movie called Zombies, and that's the title they chose. Okay.
Uh-huh. Then we got Dwayne Rollins says Shaun of the Dead. Bobby Foy says Resident Evil. Loved the soundtrack too. Might have to get it now. On my soundtrack kick.
Yeah, big time.
You're so right about Dead Alive soundtrack. I got it and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That ain't good.
Yeah.
Anyway. And lastly on the Facebook, we got Dan Charbonneau. Says Return of the Living Dead, Dead Alive, 28 Days Later, They Live, Zombieland, and Idle Hands.
Yeah, there's zombies in Idle Hands.
You count it?
You can count it.
All right.
They live?
They live. Those are aliens.
That's why I want to draw the line in the sand versus demons and demons versus zombies, because you start learning they're aliens.
Sorry, Mike busted you on that one. Sorry, Dan.
Sorry, Dan.
All right, over on Twitter, we got Joshua Brown at Josh3B Brown. We know Josh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What's up, buddy?
I posted a thing of watching Day of the Dead, and he replied, said, "Pictured the best zombie in the movie, underused, Dr. Tongue."
Yes.
Yep.
Good old Dr. Tongue.
Oh, Dr.
So did you guys notice the very bad Dr. Tongue ripoff in Dead Next Door?
Yep. Sean Hutchins at FatPunk68 says, "Today my favorite is 28 Days Later. If that isn't a zombie movie, then my fave is Night of the Living Dead. Still grim after all these years. But we ruled. It's cool. That counts. Then we got Don Anelli at Don_Anelli. He says, anything Italian here beats the best of the rest from everywhere around the world. Zombie 2 and beyond as spots 1 and 2 on my all-time list. It's hard to argue.
It is hard to argue. Because you're not in the room to argue with.
That's right.
That's why it's so hard.
And that's all we got on Twitter. But we got an Instagram now. So y'all better get...
shit.
That's right. Hold on.
We're everywhere.
That's right.
We're just like zombies.
It's spreading. It's spreading.
It's spreading.
And we got 3 comments over there. Zombie Queen Strange says, dead snow. Counting Cook says, dead snow. Perfect for this time of year. It is. And Tebby Bear, it's Trevor Swaim.
Aww.
That's always been his handle, Tebby Bear. Dawn, 79. 78.
He knows.
Yeah.
He knows what's up.
So yeah, Attack the Killer Podcast over on the Instagram. Go give us a follow. And because that's what you do, Mike.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Kids in your Instagrams.
Yep. And you can always leave us... God damn it, where is it? You can always give us a call at 415-952-6857. That's also 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us your comments. We'll read that shit on the show. For shout-outs, that's what it is. That's shout-outs.
Woo! Shout-outs! Cool.
Oh, she does.
Okay. All right.
I read it too fast.
So,
I read it too fast.
So, now that we've totally botched that up, it's time for...
No, do it over. I'll edit that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Jason, for the shout-outs. And now, it is time for Wicked Women with Wear Tear. Ow, 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 ow.
Hello. Okay. Well, as I was watching some zombie movies for this episode, watched Day of the Dead, and the star of the film is Lori Is it Cardille? Is that how you say it?
Cardell?
I believe
Cardell?
it's Kardashian.
Yeah. That could
Right.
be it.
That. Anyway, I was like, oh, I wonder what else she's been in. So, let me share with you. And Mike already totally spoiled part of what I was going to say about her dad being Chilly Billy, who is a reporter in Night of the Living Dead, and also the Night of the Living Dead remake, apparently, which I barely remember. But yeah, he was also best known as the host of Chiller Theater. He did a lot of radio in Pennsylvania and just went on to be, I guess, a bit of a horror host.
Yeah, definitely.
In the Pennsylvania area. But yeah, Mike already said that earlier, so anyway. She really hasn't done a lot as far as acting. She did, leading up to Day of the Dead, she did a few like soap operas and like a TV movie, nothing crazy. And I'm assuming she got her role in Day of the Dead through connection with her dad, and her dad having worked with Romero before and all that. But I don't know the full story, so if anyone does, please regale us.
She auditioned, and it wasn't until after the fact that it came out that they were related. So.
Oh, well, that's neat.
Yeah. So it's kind of a coincidental thing.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
And then after that, she didn't do a whole lot. She was in an episode of Tales from the Dark Side. And then she did a few TV movies and a few shorts, mostly dramas. It looks like she's kind of gotten back into the swing of things in the past couple of years and done mostly just shorts, but they seem to be horror related. So hopefully that means we're going to get some more from her in the future. And she also has a daughter named Kate Rogal, who's done a few things, like she was on Psych and whatnot, but neat.
Yeah. That's awesome that you chose her, because whenever anybody thinks about like strong female characters from horror movies, like the first thing that usually comes to people's mind is Ripley from the Aliens franchise. But I think her character in Day of the Dead is probably one of the strongest female characters in all of horror.
Yeah, she was kick-ass.
Yeah, because not only does she have to deal with zombies, but she's got to put up with those military assholes shit. And she holds her ground. She does not let them try to intimidate her or put any sexual advances towards her. She just gets right up in their face and smack talks them just as badly as they smack talk her. So,
for sure. Mm-hmm. And she's super smart and science-y and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's also playing the quintessential in-between character like women have to do so often. Woe is me. But, between the scientists being crazy and trying to do good things and then the crazy douchebag military guys. Not that that's how all of those situations always are, obviously, but
well, that's a thing too. You kind of bring up. She has those vulnerable moments too.
Yeah.
Like she's not just a one-sided stereotype badass character. She has her breakdown moments when the one guy gets bit, and even though she treated it and she's telling everybody that she fixed it, then she has that moment when she's alone and she just kind of breaks down. So
yeah, she is good. Hope she does more.
Yeah, wish she would do a lot more. Absolutely.
Or conventions at least, or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I saw that she did some sort of con with her dad before he passed recently.
She did a few of those with her dad, absolutely. I think like the Days of the Dead, around the Pittsburgh area.
Well, all right, kiddies, it's that time again. It's time for your favorite segment on Attack of the Killer podcast. It's Insane's Picks. I tried.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, buddy.
But, it's just not the same.
It's not.
So, since the topic of this episode was zombies, I figure, I've got to pick a zombie movie, right? I'm going to go with a zombie movie. It took me forever to try to think of one that I should do, and also trying to think of one that I haven't already done. So, I figure I might as well go to Italy and pick an Italian zombie film. Because there's dozens of those, and all of which that I love so very, very much. I'm gonna go with Zombie 3, directed mostly by Lucio Fulci, and written by Claudio Fagazio. This is one of my all-time favorite Italian zombie flicks. It's right up there with The Beyond, the original Zombie, and Nightmare City. One of the things that I love about this one is that it's just got so much zombie action going on. Once it starts happening, it's just non-stop through the rest of the film. I like the look of the zombies. I think they're great. They're like wet and bloody and slimy and just gross. It's crazy and zany because like zombies literally pop out of nowhere throughout the film. At one moment, a guy is trying to grab a hold of the helicopter as it's taking off and letting the helicopter pull him into the air so they can get away from these zombies that are coming. And just as it's taking off and you think he's going to get away, like 3 or 4 zombies pop out from underneath the leaves on the ground to pull the guy off the helicopter and take him down. Like, were these zombies just hanging out underneath the leaves all day long, just waiting for a moment to pop out? Why are all of a sudden zombies just popping out underneath hay and attacking this guy? It's hilarious. It's awesome. So basically, the story of Zombie 3 is terrorists steal this weaponized chemical called Death 1. One of the terrorists gets himself infected, and the military hunt him down at the Sweet River Resort. They finally take him down, they kill him, and then they burn the body. Now the ashes, much like Return of the Living Dead, and you could see a lot of Return of the Living Dead influence in this film. And it goes without saying that Italian films, especially Italian zombie films, steal a lot from other zombie films, from especially American zombie films. And this one I feel like has a lot connected to Return of the Living Dead, and I'll get into that more. But this moment here in particular, where they burn the body, the ashes rise up in the atmosphere, and then it causes a full zombie infection on this small island. So things go from normal to batshit crazy in mere seconds in this movie. Like, everything is hunky-dory. All these people are, like, traveling through, RVs and Jeeps and whatever. Like, these military guys are on leave. These girls are traveling by RV. There's another couple in a Jeep. All kind of, like, taking vacation on this island or what have you. And then all of a sudden, like, there's dead birds in the road. And they go investigate the dead birds, and the dead birds come to life and start pecking at people's faces. And it goes from that to, like, full-on zombie apocalypse. It almost feels like there are minutes missing from this movie. Like, scenes were cut out, showing from point A to point C without any B. Because, like, all of a sudden now the town is completely abandoned and there's just zombies everywhere. And some of my favorites, one of my all-time favorite moments is the flying severed zombie head that flies out of the refrigerator and attacks somebody. Why the fuck there's a zombie head in a refrigerator? Some zombies are fast and they wield machetes, while others are so slow you could walk right past them. Even though the town is completely deserted, there's the radio DJ Blue Heart. That's his name. He can be heard still broadcasting on the radio, and they treat that character as a narrative throughout the film, where I feel like the DJ character is one of Fagazio's major touches, since he narrates throughout the movie, and it's a heavy narration about how man is destroying the environment. That message is forced on you throughout the entire film through the DJ character. The movie was shot in the Philippines and is littered with stories, much like many of the films that were shot in the Philippines during that time. Fulci unfortunately had a stroke during the filming of Zombie 3, and although he said his health was not the contributing factor, he ended up leaving the project during filming. I think it was like 70 minutes of the film was done, shot by Fulci, and then Claudio Fagazio and Fulci's second unit director Bruno Mattei took over the directing credits throughout a bunch of Fulci stuff and shot an additional 40 minutes of footage. Claudio is best known for directing such classics as Troll 2 and Monster Dog, while Bruno Mattei is a fan favorite around here for directing some amazing films such as Hell of the Living Dead and, yes, Jason, Rats Night of Terror. The movie was released in 1988, but didn't get a release in the United States until Media Blasters put it out on DVD in 2002. I have the Media Blasters release of this movie. One of the things that I love about Media Blasters is during that time of the early 2000s, where Media Blasters brought over a lot of these Italian films, put them on DVD in the United States. And I don't know if there is any other releases of this movie. I don't think there's been a Blu-ray of it yet, but it's too damn bad. It should be totally put on Blu-ray. Now I talked about how the Italians would often borrow from American films. Some say borrow, some say straight up rip off, and how this one has a lot of connections to Return of the Living Dead. There's literally a moment that is almost word for word out of Return of the Living Dead. It's one of the guys that got attacked by the birds is slowly turning into a zombie, and they're trying to rush him to a hospital, and they have him in the Jeep, and he's sitting there and he's talking to his girlfriend. His girlfriend's all crying. He's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna get you to the hospital soon." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm doing much better. I'm just so hungry. I can even smell your brains." And then he attacks, and that's basically almost word for word of what Tom Matthews says to his girlfriend in Return of the Living Dead. So it is just a great example of crazy zombie action by the Italians. You can see a lot of Fulci's work within it. Especially some great atmospheric stuff, where I feel like kind of touching on like City of the Living Dead and beyond, where there's a lot of different gel lighting and a lot of dry ice and fog work going on. Zombies coming out of the fogs and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. But then you can also see some of the wackiness and zaniness of Claudio and Bruno influences in there as well. I have a feeling, I know the zombie head out of the refrigerator was Fulci's idea. That was one of the things he did in the movie, because he seemed extremely proud of that. He said that's one of the best things he's ever came up with for a zombie film. But then when it's like zombies popping out of hay, out of literally nowhere, attacking a guy hanging off the end of a helicopter, something you would see in like grade school kids doing in the backyard after dad raked the leaves, and they decide to shoot a zombie movie, having zombies popping out of the leaves. That definitely feels like a Bruno Mattei moment to me. So anyway, check it out if you can find it. It's such an amazing blend of like Filipino filmmaking and Italian filmmaking. Zombie 3 by Lucio Fulci. Check it out.
Zombie 3.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So good.
Is it?
I love it. Also love Zombie 4, a.k.a. After Death was the alternate title on that one. That one's equally as awesome. But then when it gets to Zombie 5, The Killing Birds, that one, I couldn't even tell you what that one's about. It's so fucked up. So, but that's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's this episode of Attack of the Killer Podcast. Zombies Part 1. Someday there will be a Part 2, but not right away. We'll space that out. We don't want to overdo it on the zombie genre. I know there's a lot of horror fans that are brought out on the zombie genre, and we don't want to burn you out on the podcast as well. So we will do that sparingly. But I want to thank everybody for listening. And hope everybody's enjoying the show. It's a joy for us to do it for you, and happy to know that there are actually people out there listening to what we have to say. You can help support the show again by going to our Patreon, patreon.com/AOTKP, and check out the different perks there. Get some really cool stuff. So until next time, we will talk to you again soon here on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Wow.